There is a dark horse candidate for the Mariners 2023 26-man roster that we really haven't talked about all that much, but Jerry Dipoto has made it very, very clear that this player has a good chance to make the team and make a big impact. And that player is none other than outfielder Taylor Trammell. We have seen Taylor Trammell for the past couple of years, but it actually sounds like there's a good chance that he makes this ball club. In my original prediction for the Mariners 26-man roster, I left Taylor Trammell off of it just because I really didn't know if there was a spot for him in this outfield. With just 4 bench spots and some of them having to go to players like Tom Murphy, Dylan Moore, Sam Haggerty, Tommy LaStella, and others, I just don't necessarily see how we can fit somebody like Taylor Trammell on the roster. But it almost sounds like he's going to be in competition with Kelenic for the opening day position of left field. I think throughout this entire offseason, we've all just assumed that Kelenic's going to be the one that takes left field and runs with it, platooning with Pollock. But in his most recent talk during the Mariners luncheon the other day, Jerry Dipoto actually said something about Taylor Trammell and saying that he was working out at Driveline, and someone like Taylor Trammell actually has a really good chance to make this roster. Whereas we all thought Kelenic was a shoe-in, it now seems like Taylor Trammell may be edging his way into that talk. Go ahead and listen to what Jerry had to say here, and we'll get back to it.
It's, whether it be Kelenic, Taylor Trammell will play a role for us somewhere, and one of those two guys could be our left fielder on opening day, and it might be the other at some other point based on how they perform. But Pollock is a great additive to both of their skill sets. Taylor has already proven very capable of hitting right-handed pitchers in this league, and he can play all 3 of the outfield spots. He's a pretty good base runner. Jared, we think, is an excellent base runner, does a great job defensively, especially on a corner, can handle center field as well. And does damage against right-hand pitchers. And AJ brings the opposite. He has a ton of experience especially in center and left fields. Really bangs the left-hand pitchers and kind of balances out the young bats from the left side. And together they form what we think should be a pretty formidable matchup. And there'll be opportunities for 1, 2, or all 3 of them to get some DH days along the way based on how we're built right now.
So Jerry goes on to say Taylor Trammell will play a role for us somewhere, but he doesn't specifically say where that's going to be because of course there's going to be a competition in spring training. Jerry also says that whether it be Trammell or Kelenic on opening day, one of those guys is going to get a chance in left field then, and then maybe later on, depending on performance, the other may get a chance again later. Interestingly enough, he also mentions that all 3 players have a chance to make it on the major league roster and rotate them through DH days, which I think is very interesting. Again, just because I don't necessarily know who doesn't start on the roster at that point. Is there a chance that at the beginning of the year, somebody like Dylan Moore has to start the year on the IL? Maybe his recovery's not coming along as everyone hoped. It's really tough to say. Of course, with all that being said, there's a decent chance there's some sort of injury in spring training that makes this all kind of go away. We've had this happen before plenty of times where we talk all about, how are they going to fit this many players on there, and then someone gets hurt and the problem solves itself. But I'd be willing to bet that whichever one is showing out in spring training is going to get the starting left field job on opening day, and then the other may even start out in AAA or somehow find their way on the bench. Again, I'm not sure roster construction wise how that's going to work, but I think all offseason we have been overlooking Taylor Trammell, and us included here at Mariner Mojo, we've been overlooking Taylor Trammell. But Jerry Dipoto even goes on to say that, yeah, he hits left-handed pitching quite well. And he's also proven that he hits left-handed pitching quite well. Overall, in 2022, Taylor Trammell hit 196, 284, 402 with a 99 WRC+. He was right around league average. He didn't do great offensively. Defensively, though, he was pretty good. He put up a .4 WAR for the Mariners. I feel like a lot of that has to do with his K percentage, which is at 28.2%, which is a bit above the average. But what's really above average is his walk percentage at 11.1%. I believe an average walk percentage is right around 8 or 9%. Seeing an 11% walk percentage is really good for such a young player like Taylor Trammell. Like Jerry said, Taylor Trammell hits a lot better versus right-handed pitching. He hit 220 versus right-handed pitching, which again is nothing to write home about. But as you can see, he hit all 4 of his home runs. He had 13 RBIs versus left-handed pitching. He struck out 26 times and walked 11 times. And Jerry Dipoto has mentioned before just how much Taylor Trammell showed in different spurts of playing time in 2022. He had multiple injuries. He would come back from an injury and then he would play for a little while and he had to start. That's what Jerry Dipoto said. And Taylor Trammell came out of the gates hot in 2022. In May, his first month up in just 22 plate appearances, he hit 353 with 1 home run and 5 RBI. Cooled off a little bit in June where he got 64 plate appearances. He did hit 2 home runs, but he hit 203. After that in June is when he got hurt. He did not see the field again until September, October, obviously, where he only got into 10 games and hit 0.48. But overall, it sounds like Jerry Dipoto and co believe in what they saw out of May Taylor Trammell, where he only struck out 5 times and walked 3 times. Dipoto also talked about the fact that Taylor Trammell has been going to Driveline. For those of you that don't know what Driveline is, it is a coaching center in Seattle that is specifically good for looking at your data, your bat to ball data, everything that you could want to see, your mechanical prowess at the plate, and just showing you exactly statistically what you're doing when you're in their batter's box. Driveline has been one of the places that has really boomed over the past couple of years, talking about different kinds of statistical analysis that players can do, and we saw a lot of Mariners go there, including JP Crawford and Tommy LaStella.
Jerry, we saw some video of JP at Driveline working on some things, and we saw Brash there as well working on a cutter and some other stuff. What are you hoping they gain from some of this offseason work that they're trying to do?
You know, maybe the most consistent attendee was, in addition to JP, was Trammell. You know, Taylor was over there all winter long. I think that we were advocates for our players going out and seeking, you know, that the third party assistance, somebody different than the voices they hear from the Mariners to try to help, you know, introduce new programs, try something new. You know, you can get stale when you just keep on hammering the same nail. And
for Taylor Trammell, it sounds like he's going to get a decent chance in 2023. And I feel like between him, Jared Kelenic, and AJ Pollock, they're going to make for a great left field battle. Spring training is going to be super interesting in terms of battles, and I think this is going to be one of the best ones that we're going to see. And like I said, we didn't put Taylor Trammell in our original projection of the 26-man roster for 2023, but we do have that video on the screen now. I want you to check that one out. I appreciate you guys watching this one, and go Mariners.